Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. This is Joel Perez here for your weekly episodic news show. This is Behind the Mic, and it is Behind the Mic episode number 66. Yes, it is episode number 66. I got that right. Wow, look at that one. But, this is Behind the Mic episode number 66, and we are back here. No Behind the Mic last week, of course, because there was not that much news, so I decided to give you guys a little bit of extra content, I guess you can say. And we did two videos, that one of which was just uploaded yesterday, despite the fact that it was recorded last week. That's called pure laziness, ladies and gentlemen. But that is besides the point, because Behind the Mic episode number 66 was delayed till this week. Why? Because we uploaded two videos: how I would book Smackdown Live going into SummerSlam, and how I would book Monday Night Raw going into SummerSlam. So two very, very interesting videos in their own right there for you guys to go check out right after you're done watching Behind the Mic. I had a lot of fun making those videos. A lot of originality had to be put in. A lot of thought had to be put into those videos, where these videos like Behind the Mic and your Raw and Smackdown reviews just roll off the head. You actually gotta go to your notes section of the iPhone or the Android or whatever the hell it may be, and you gotta start writing things down, putting pieces together, and I just love doing those things. I should make more of those video types, but it's just hard to come up with ideas and just to be constantly thinking all the time, and sometimes I'm in an area where I don't necessarily have pen and paper to put that thought that popped into my head down and write that down so that can be put into video form. So I mean, it's just a hard process, but that is besides the point. This is Behind the Mic, and of course what we do on Behind the Mic is, of course, we discuss all the weekly news, or the biggest weekly news, right here for your WWE product. And I've actually been thinking about tampering with the format of Behind the Mic. Maybe over the next couple weeks you're going to see part 1 and part 2, 30-minute part 1 and part 2, just to make this video more watchable, or these videos more watchable, with 3 news stories on one, 3 news stories on the others, because I know a 60-minute video isn't necessarily what's going to tamper to most audiences, but that is besides the point. We've got some big news on Behind the Mic, and if I sound a little bit more monotone than usual, it is of course because it is the morning here. It is 10:36 in the morning, and this is kind of my first time talking, so I mean, you have that there. But of course, this is Behind the Mic, and we have some big news stories for you guys. Of course, last night was UFC 225, and none other than our homeboy CM Punk was fighting at UFC 225, and he didn't do so well once again. I mean, he did better than last time, but then again, they put him against a scrub. So we're going to talk about CM Punk's UFC 225 fight and the controversy that has struck with our fellow Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live commentator, Corey Graves. We're going to talk about that one right there. Corey Graves commenting on CM Punk. What happened in that situation? We also have terrible news on the confirmation, pretty much, of who's going to be challenging Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. WWE continues to persist and continues to be ridiculous with their booking here, and they continue to just ignore the fans, and we're going to go on a big rant about that. There's no doubt about it. We have news on the official return of The Undertaker to WWE. We have news on Jeff Hardy, and this is bad news, being injured. He is, of course, the current United States champion, going to be off of television for the next couple weeks, or whatever it may be, months. Hopefully it's not months, but we're going to talk about that. We also have news on Shawn Michaels making a return. He says it's possible for him to make an in-ring return to the WWE. We're going to speculate and talk about that, of course. That's some interesting news. Shawn Michaels is one of my favorite of all time. I'd probably put Chris Jericho as my favorite of all time, if I'm being quite honest. Speaking of Jericho, he is the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Holy crap. What's the situation there? We're going to talk about it all right here on Behind the Mic, episode number 66. Of course, before we do get into all of that, I just want to tell you guys very quickly to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. All your support really helps out, and I know things are slow right now on everything regarding the WWE. I mean, the ratings are down, and that has to do with them putting on shitty television, and that affects us because if there's less people watching the WWE, why the hell would they come here and watch things about the WWE? But of course, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are here, make sure to help out the channel. Like this video, dislike this video if you want, comment, do all the great things. Give me that watch time, of course. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click on that notification bell. Do it all. If you have not subscribed yet, I do not know what you're waiting for. Everything regarding the WWE each and every single week. Raw reviews, Smackdown reviews, pay-per-view reviews. Money in the Bank is coming up. We're going to be talking about that. Of course, you got videos in the same vein of what we did this past week with Raw and Smackdown, booking that going into SummerSlam. You have Behind the Mic each and every single week as well. Some great stuff right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Can't miss stuff. So make sure to go check it out, all of it, and of course subscribe. Click that notification bell, like, comment, do it all, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go straight into the news stories right here on Behind the Mic. And our first news story does have to do with the Universal Champion, this never-ending Universal Championship reign, seemingly, of Brock Lesnar. And who is going to be his opponent going into SummerSlam? Can you guess who it's going to be? Can you guess who it's going to be? Well, you think about it, and there is some viable options. You got Seth Rollins, who's over as hell on the babyface run of his career right now as Intercontinental Champion. Monday Night Rollins shirts are selling left and right. I want one of my own. We're all looking at it, WWE shop, and he's just going wild. Who else? Braun Strowman. Great, over as all hell. Not as over as he once used to be at one point last year. Not when you could have really capitalized at No Mercy 2017. But you can once again capitalize and make Braun Strowman one of your biggest baby faces going into WrestleMania, can we say? And get some good matches out of him. Build up Braun Strowman in the position that he needs to be. Oh, you're not going to pick him either? Well, damn. Who is left out of everybody here? Oh, that guy, Roman Reigns? That failure? Him? You're going to pick him? Really now? You're going to pick Roman Reigns? Oh my God. WWE, you have got to be kidding me with this garbage. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, WWE has once again chosen Roman Reigns to be the opponent for Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. You have got to be kidding me with this. Despite not being on television, Brock Lesnar is still the talk of the town as WWE fans are wondering just when he's going to drop the Universal Championship and who that would be against. The last time we saw the Beast in action was back at the Greatest Royal Rumble event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, where he managed to overcome Roman Reigns for a second successive time, even if the rumor suggested the big dog would defeat Lesnar and allow the latter to return to the UFC. Here are the title plans. With Lesnar not expected to compete at Money in the Bank or Extreme Rules, it's being claimed that his next title defense will come at SummerSlam, which is still around 2 months away. Reigns and Braun Strowman quickly came forward as the two favorites to potentially battle and dethrone Lesnar at the biggest party of the summer. However, Seth Rollins has emerged as a welcomed outsider to challenge Lesnar, especially since WWE has been running the hashtag BrockWho angle on social media, with the Kingslayer being the fighting champion compared to the inactive Lesnar. That makes sense. A storyline that actually makes sense. Well, I'll be damned. But no. They want to continue with this. Roman Reigns, who was beaten and battered at WrestleMania 34, given another opportunity at the Greatest Royal Rumble and still lost. But no, he's going to get the Universal Championship shot. Yeah, that's right. Either way, while more and more reports have surfaced stating that Rollins will drop the Intercontinental Championship potentially to Elias, and they are set to face each other at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, so it makes sense, and go on to challenge Lesnar, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer brought up something interesting from this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, which appeared to give away possible plans for the Universal Championship. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio after Raw, Meltzer highlighted that the commentators went on and on about how Reigns was cheated at the Greatest Royal Rumble and was the uncrowned champion, suggesting that WWE could once again revisit the Lesnar and Reigns program. According to Ringside News, he said, "By the way, I should mention in the commentary during the tag match, they made it very clear that Roman Reigns is the guy who's going to be wrestling Lesnar. I mean, it was on and on and on about how he got cheated at the Greatest Royal Rumble, how he's going for the championship, so it doesn't look like it's Strowman. I mean, they could change their minds, but they were pretty strong on commentary on, that's the big program." That's what Meltzer had to say. Fans did pick up on what the commentary team were saying and responded in kind on social media. So here is what J Flight at JFlight TU1 had to say on social media. In caps, "David Otunga is a corporate goon. Do you guys hear this idiot on commentary?" I actually agree with that statement. "Nobody took Lesnar to the limits like Reigns has. What about Triple H, Cena, Angle, Eddie, Goldberg? My God, does this show insult the fuck out of our intelligence?" That's what Jay Flight had to say. Jay Flight, you are one intelligent little bird. Who's next? Patrick Baker at Baker the Patrick had to say on Twitter as well. "Dear at WWE, please stop mentioning the bullshit that was that Reigns versus Lesnar match in Jeddah by the rules of any cage match ever, and indeed the rules mentioned on commentary during the match. Roman Reigns won and should be the Universal Champion. Brock Lesnar is a fraud." Patrick Baker is a little bit less of a smarty over here on social media. Here's Dylan Potter at Dylan Potter 17. "They brought Otunga back just to put over Reigns and say he's the uncrowned Universal Champion. This company will do nothing to get Roman as their guy, and nothing is working. Hashtag Raw." Dylan, another smart one over here. But it really doesn't take that much brain power to figure this out. But WWE, it's apparently taken the whole, all the factors in the Industrial Revolution to power these brains to figure out that Roman Reigns isn't working. Not even that's enough, because WWE, they still don't realize. They want to put Reigns in the main event again. I don't get it. Either way, Mike Riguria, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Either way, it's at Deman Airboy93. Terrible Twitter handle, but that is besides the point. "Hey, at Vince McMahon, stop having commentary mention every single week that Reigns is the uncrowned champion. We've heard it how many times, but like your daughter said, he lost." So that was what Mike Rigurio had to say. It still looks like it's only between Rollins, Reigns, and Strowman. Only time will tell which option WWE decides to go with two clearly more favorable than the other. So that is the article right there. And I'm telling you, bro, nobody wants to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again for the Universal Championship. They were booed out of the building in New Orleans. Saudi Arabia didn't even care that much. Even in Saudi Arabia, you go back and look at the reaction and you still heard boos mixed in there to Roman Reigns' reaction. It's absolutely ridiculous. So absolutely ridiculous. Nobody wants to see this. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar was god-awful. Both times that we saw it at the Greatest Royal Rumble and at WrestleMania 34, and nobody wants to see it again. This is something people are over. If you did not capitalize on giving Roman Reigns the Universal Championship then you damn sure aren't going to do it now. Give the title to somebody who actually deserves it, who actually has been putting on fantastic work, and who the crowd is actually behind. That's something WWE has failed to do, and maybe this is why your ratings are at the lowest point that they've ever been. You fail to listen to your audience. It is clear each and every single week on Monday Night Raw, each and every single week on social media, as we just read right there from the Twitter. Of course, it is clear that the fans want a Seth Rollins. It is clear that the fans want a Braun Strowman. Yet WWE continues to fail us, and it continues to be drilled home, whether it's on commentary, whether it's from some backstage news report or whatever it may be. We continue to hear the fact that it's Roman Reigns, it's Roman Reigns, it's Roman Reigns. Well, guess what? It's not Roman Reigns. It's not Roman Reigns in the hearts of your fans, in the hearts of the people who are investing their hard-earned money in this product. And WWE, just because of these $500 million television deals from USA and this $1 billion television deal from Fox Network, they think that they can do whatever the hell they want. And it continues to be proven true by reports like this. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, you put that match on, especially in the main event of SummerSlam, which is in Brooklyn, New York. Holy shit, you will not see the end of it, bro. That match will be trashed on, and is that really the way that you want to end SummerSlam? Instead of ending it with a big pop by having Braun Strowman win the Universal Championship and actually present something bright going into the future of Monday Night Raw, or by presenting us an amazing underdog story. Imagine the matchup that Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar can have. You already saw what AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar did. I mean, the small man epidemic seems to work with Brock Lesnar. Look at what CM Punk and Brock Lesnar did at SummerSlam 2013. That was absolutely great. Look at what AJ Styles, just a previous example, AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar did at this past Survivor Series. You even go back all the way back to 2004, what Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar did at No Way Out for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was all fantastic. It was all great. And now you mean to tell me that you need to continue to push this Roman Reigns agenda? I mean, WWE, you can't even compare this guy to John Cena anymore, because WWE continues to drill this guy and drill this guy and drill this guy, and this is the longest that they've ever drilled anybody down our throats. This is the longest that they've ever pushed any guy without it working. There has not been a hint of Roman Reigns actually being accepted, yet WWE continues to try and continues to try and continues to try. And I don't think this is even about the fact that they want Roman Reigns over anymore. I think this is more about the fact that they do not want to be proven wrong, and they think that if they try for long enough, that it will eventually work. And clearly, it hasn't worked no matter how long you try. This guy needs to be repositioned. He needs a better role, and that role is a heel turn. It is right in front of you. It has been said by everybody at this point. Yeah, we right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, I was one of the first people saying it, but of course, everybody at this point has picked up on the fact that Roman Reigns needs to go heel, and you at this point, where you didn't before, and it was understandable before, but at this point, you have people in place to take over that babyface position. And that's Seth Rollins, and that's Braun Strowman. And I think WWE should take the resources that they have in place and utilize them, instead of being thick-headed and ignoring their fans for the bazillionth time at this point. Roman Reigns is not over, and Roman Reigns is a failed experiment. Get over it, and come SummerSlam, I damn sure hope that the main event is not Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, because WWE, there will be harsh repercussions, and believe me, from that New York crowd, there will be harsh backlash if you do this at SummerSlam. For now, we move on here to the next news story. And this next news story has to do with our homeboy CM Punk and his second UFC fight. And quite frankly, what can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? CM Punk is not primed for the Octagon. I think I even made a video on this 2 years ago, back on an older YouTube channel. Back before the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel even exists, on his first fight in the UFC. And holy shit, CM Punk in that fight got his shit rocked in, and I was just stating how this guy just is not primed to be in a UFC ring. And it proves true once again. And he held his ground more so than he did last time. This fight actually went 3 rounds. But I mean, what do you expect? He was in the ring with Mike Jackson, who was beaten by Mickey Gall, who was CM Punk's opponent last time and beat CM Punk in, 2 minutes and 14 seconds? Mickey Gall beat this guy right here, Mike Jackson, in 45 seconds. So these guys have both lost to Mickey Gall. Both of these guys are Mickey Gall's bitches, pretty much. And Mike Jackson is just the bigger bitch because he lost in 45 seconds. So the thought going into this matchup was, well, CM Punk should have a relatively much easier time, and this should be a W for CM Punk. Both of these guys should not be at the level that this event was. This is UFC 225. This is a whole big-ass pay-per-view, and both of these guys are being allowed to fight on this big stage just because of CM Punk's name value. And you know what? I actually find that quite hypocritical, because CM Punk, he went on the Colt Cabana podcast and he actually won the court law case, or this court, whatever the hell you want to call it. He won in court against Chris Amon, the WWE doctor, and he should have. Good for him. But he went on that podcast and he said, you know what? I had to put over all these guys who wouldn't be there the next day. I had to put over The Rock. I had to put over The Undertaker. I had to put over Brock Lesnar. And all these guys, I lost them and they weren't there the next day. They were in a bigger position than me when I was there fighting week in and week out. Well, look at all these guys training week in and week out. And CM Punk, just because of his name value, you know how many people that are fighting in the lower ranks of the UFC would kill to be in the position that CM Punk is in? And there CM Punk is at the top of the level where he should not be competing, where this fight was not on the level of professional UFC stars. This was an awful fight, quite frankly. Terrible, terrible stuff. Just absolute. This looked like a rookie fight. It really, really did. And CM Punk, after surviving the 3 rounds that this match was allotted, I mean, he lost. He lost. And quite frankly, if you watch the fight, yes, the decision was correct. He should have lost this matchup, and CM Punk did not look good. I mean, 3.5 years of training at an elite boxing, whatever the hell, and I mean, you can still credit his failure to the fact that he's starting from a very, very old age. He started training for the UFC when he was like 37 or whatever the hell, 35. Well, how old is CM Punk now? He started training at a very late age, and clearly he's going to be slower than the rest of them. But he was against the guy who, quite frankly, was on the same skill level as him, or should have been on the same skill level as him. And both of these guys 0-1, and at this juncture, he was not able to get it done. So at this point, what can you say for CM Punk's UFC career? What can you say? And this is 1 week after CM Punk has pretty much dug a hole for himself, or a couple days after CM Punk pretty much dug a hole for himself, because he's gone on a bunch of interviews or whatever the hell and said, yeah, I am not returning to wrestling. Well, buddy, it might be time to start thinking about what you just said and apologizing for some of those statements. But what he's done over this past week has pissed some people off, that being Corey Graves, who took many, many shots at CM Punk last night after his UFC 225 fight. Here it was. Corey Graves takes some shots at CM Punk on social media following Punk's one-sided loss to Mike Jackson at UFC 225 on Saturday night. Graves ripped Punk for abandoning people that he stood by his side and turning his back on them, as seen below. Here's what Corey Graves said. Maybe abandoning everybody who stood by your side even when we weren't supposed to, only to have you turn your back on us, wasn't the right move after all. No anger, only sadness. Graves discussed his past friendship with Punk, noting that Punk had helped Graves' first son before he had a chance to, and that he had dinner with Punk the week after he quit. Oh, seems the fans are disappointed. Maybe you guys should know that that dude held my first son before I did, because I was on tour and I trusted him. I had dinner with him the week after he quit. The first rule of punk rock is loyalty, and this guy betrayed it all. I still love you, friend, and I'm sorry you got lost. Don't worry. Hey, at Vince McMahon, this has nothing to do with you. You either, at Triple H. This isn't corporate. This is real life. Calm down, internerds. That is what Corey Graves had to say right there. So he went off. Corey Graves went off. Graves later suggested that Punk turned his back on him simply because he worked for WWE. Dan Sweat said, so where's your loyalty? Not to your friends, who was clearly unhappy as he ever was, but with your billion-dollar corporation bosses. Yeah, super punk rock, bro. Tell me all about punk rock. Corey Graves responded to that. My loyalty? Oh, would you like the before or after? I've got both. I mean, one can only be shit on by your best friends for so long before they smarten up. No? But it's cool. I'm sure you love Kenny Omega and you know more about this business and friendship than I do. The same person, I believe, or no, this is somebody else. They responded, 99.9% of the time, I don't care about what people say about my brothers and sisters because I know the truth and the love I have for them is unmatched. I'm so sad that at WWE Graves is so uncomfortable and distraught in his life that he targeted CM Punk tonight. Dude, I'm far from distraught. I'm in a good place. I'm just really bummed that I had a true friend turn his back on me for no other reason than the company that employs me. Punk was transported to a local hospital for facial CT scan following his loss at UFC 225. So that is the situation right there. And quite frankly, I don't understand why people who don't know this situation are commenting on this situation. Clearly, something happened between CM Punk and Corey Graves recently that has just had Corey Graves go off on this tangent. Perhaps this wasn't the best time for Corey Graves to perhaps target CM Punk because CM Punk is just coming out of a loss and clearly he has enough backlash coming at him as it is. Maybe something happened as recently as 5 or 10 or 15 minutes after this fight. Maybe Corey Graves gave Punk a call to say something to him like, it was a good fight, you gave it your all, I respect you, and maybe CM Punk told him off. We don't know what the situation is, so that's why it's so premature for all these people on social media to be coming out and commenting on this situation. Like, what do you have to do with this? Then again, you look at this on the flip side. Why the hell are you going off on social media? You can't settle this through a DM. You can't private message CM Punk. If you're commenting this on social media, Graves, you're just expecting all these people to come at you. We don't know the situation, and commenting this on a platform where all these people who don't know the situation are going to be able to respond to, I guess, just stir up controversy. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? I mean, holy shit. This is just the most unprofessional way. Corey Graves, who I have a lot of respect for, who is great in his role and who is great at his job, this is the most unprofessional way you could have handled your grievances in this situation. Because you know that up to the point where it was CM Punk's last UFC fight, you go back and look at the tweet, which I did, and CM Punk was like, or Corey Graves tweeted out, I respect my friend, and blah, 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 blah. So clearly by the last fight, where CM Punk had already been gone from WWE for 2 years or whatever, Corey Graves and CM Punk were still on good terms. But by now, something could have happened even minutes ago. After that fight, even minutes after that fight happened, where Corey Graves maybe gave CM Punk a call and Punk told him off for something because he was pissed about the fight, and Graves, maybe as initial anger, as first reaction, went on social media and just aired his grievances, and it's not the most professional thing he could have done, because now you've made this public, people know what you're feeling, and a situation that perhaps they do not know about, people are going to comment on. And Corey Graves is responding to this. And I mean, these people, I don't know anything about this situation. These people responding to you on social media do not know anything about this situation. So instead of handling this with CM Punk by sending him a DM, even if CM Punk never responds, by sending him a message, by talking to people who actually know the entire situation, instead you're unleashing this to the public where nobody knows what the hell you're talking about, and because of that, they're just going to comment. All these idiots on social media are going to comment on this situation that they don't know about, and they're just going to piss you off even more. So what was the point of what Corey Graves just did? I have no idea, but apparently he has some issues with CM Punk. What those issues may be, we don't know about, so we can't comment on that. Then again, Corey Graves, you didn't have to post your personal situation on social media. Very unprofessional, and I don't know what the deal is with that. So for now, we move on here to the next news story, and it has to do with the Heartbreak Kid. We have some big news on Shawn Michaels for the second time. Second time talking about being open to a in-ring return for one more match. The word retirement hardly ever means for good in the world of professional wrestling, but Shawn Michaels is one of those guys who actually seems to be honoring it. His last match was more than 8 years ago when he lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania 26, and he's never set foot in a ring as an active competitor again. Despite the fact that it has been close to a decade since he last wrestled, HBK is finally hinting that he may have one more match in him. For years, fans have wanted Michaels to get back in the ring for one more match. Rumors have constantly swirled that he would wrestle again in a match against John Cena or AJ Styles or one of the other new stars, but he's always confirmed that he's retired and not going to wrestle again. Oddly enough, he's now commenting as if he would give it one more go and wrestle one more match, but that doesn't mean he will do it. Michaels, who is now a coach at the WWE Performance Center, recently told Sky Sports that he would take a look at a one-off kind of thing, and it riled fans up. Now he's commented on it a second time in the course of 1 week, and one has to wonder why he's talking about it again. As WWE continues its push for a 2018 Emmy nomination, they are bringing up the big guns to promote the company. As reported by Wrestling Inc., Shawn Michaels appeared on the Red Carpet Report as he was asked about wrestling again. While he didn't necessarily confirm it, he did hint at there being a chance. I'm always humbled and very flattered at the fact that after all these years, people still believe enough in my ability to still do it. Look, there's a part of me that knows I could, but at the same time, this is a young man's game. I love the fact that the future of the WWE is in such good, capable hands. It's a pleasure for me to watch it and go forward. As much as it would be enjoyable to wrestle, I'm more excited in seeing these young men take WWE into the future. Obviously, Michaels isn't going to come right out and say he would wrestle again, as that would start a huge ordeal in the internet wrestling community. It's just odd that he's always shot down the idea of coming back for even one more match, but now he said that he's open to it twice in 1 week. The former multi-time world champion said that today's superstars jump in and out of reality and the ring and their person, and he isn't sure he would have adjusted to that. His last match was another great one against The Undertaker, and it was honestly a great way for him to have a send-off and retire from the ring. Shawn Michaels will always go down as one of the greatest performers in wrestling history, even if he never even appears on WWE television again. Still, fans have always had that slight bit of hope that he'd have one more match, and now he's just adding fuel to the fire. This is very exciting, and as far as I go, if this was a couple years ago and Shawn Michaels was coming out and saying this, I would be absolutely jumping out of my freaking seat, and I'd be saying, holy shit, this is amazing. Shawn Michaels is coming back. Wow, this is great. And I feel like the reason that Shawn Michaels is coming out and saying this now is because he's now in and around WWE. He's working at the Performance Center. He's around all this young and spriteful talent, and he has that young atmosphere of, wow, this is amazing. All these people have so much hope, and they're progressing so well. And I look at all these great talents: Adam Cole, Aleister Black, the Velveteen Dream, who Shawn Michaels has been quote unquote mentoring at the Performance Center. He's taken him under as a protege, which is absolutely fantastic to hear in its own right. And Shawn Michaels, he's just in this great atmosphere that is the Performance Center, where everybody's working so hard, and there's this dynamic spirit where everybody wants to be the best, and there's this great competition in the air, and there's all this fantastic vibes going around of this guy's going to be the next big star and that guy's going to be the next big star. And Shawn Michaels, if you're in that environment, you can't help but say, damn, I want to be a part of this again. I want to be a part of this again, where if you're kind of part of the main roster, it's just that atmosphere of everybody here has made it and everybody here knows their role. But when you're down in the NXT Performance Center, it's got to be a feeling of like, oh my God, everybody here is so excited to see what they're going to be doing going into the future. Everybody here wants to be the next big star, and they're working hard to do it because you haven't quite figured everything out when it comes to NXT. So clearly you're uppity and about when it comes to being down in NXT. So Shawn Michaels, that environment and that feeling and those aspirations are probably rubbing off on him. And he's probably saying, holy shit, this is something I want to do again. I want to get in the ring with an Adam Cole. I want to get in the ring with a Velveteen Dream. And there's certainly some guys on the main roster as well who, you look at these dream matches, Shawn Michaels versus Daniel Bryan, which would be absolutely amazing because, of course, Shawn Michaels, quote-unquote, trained Daniel Bryan. You look at Shawn Michaels versus Seth Rollins. Oh my God. Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles. Holy shit. Even another matchup between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker is appealing to many people. Wouldn't be as great, but I mean, it's just exciting. It's exciting to think about, but I mean, is it something that I want to see? I'm not sure. I mean, Shawn Michaels is one of my favorite of all time. There's no doubt about that. But do I want to tarnish the legacy possibly by having him come back into the ring and possibly put on a matchup that is not up to snuff with what we're so expected and what we're so excited to see every time that a Shawn Michaels matchup would be brought up? Would he be able to put on the classic of the likes that he put on with Undertaker at 25 and 26, even with what he put on with Undertaker inside of the first ever Hell in a Cell match, what he's done with Triple H in the past, John Cena with that 1 hour match on Monday Night Raw? I mean, there's just match after match. Bret Hart, everything that Shawn Michaels does or has been known to do is classic after classic after classic, and you kind of have that feeling in the back of your mind that as exciting as it would it live up to the excitement that we all know that Shawn Michaels has put on in his matches in previous years? It's been 8 years. How old is Shawn Michaels at this point? I think he's like 52. 52. Do you really want to see a 52-year-old Shawn Michaels step in the ring at this point in the game? Has the time passed? I mean, you look at The Undertaker and what he's doing at this point in time, and this is not the Undertaker that we knew and loved. The last time we saw a great matchup from The Undertaker was really back in 2015 in the Hell in a Cell match he put on with Brock Lesnar. Since then, you really have not seen The Undertaker of old, where you're like, we're going into WrestleMania, it's another Undertaker match, and I cannot wait. What he did with John Cena last year, or this year, at WrestleMania 34, was a 3-minute match. Rusev, run-of-the-mill, old Undertaker, whatever, he's just doing his moves. What he did at WrestleMania 33 with Roman Reigns was awful. 32 with Shane McMahon, that matchup was really built around Shane McMahon doing the jumping off the cell spot. But besides that, really nothing else there was really appealing. So last time we really saw something great from The Undertaker was 2015. It's been 3 years past the time that Undertaker should have retired maybe. And last time we saw something truly epic where Undertaker should have retired was probably WrestleMania 28 back in 2012, where it was that matchup where Shawn Michaels was the referee, the end of an era match between Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels being the special guest referee, Hell in a Cell. That was absolutely fantastic. But besides that, I mean, what's the situation? What is the situation? I don't know. I do not know what the situation can be, but damn, there are some dream matches in play. Just to think about it, if this was the best scenario and this is the Shawn Michaels that's going to put on a 5-star or at least a 4.5-star classic, I mean, AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels, that's at the top of my list. That's what I want to see personally. You also have dream matches like, or what a lot of people have been saying, that is Adam Cole versus Shawn Michaels. Because of course Adam Cole has been compared to be a Shawn Michaels-esque in the future. I mean, he has that Shawn Michaels-esque look and weight to him inside the ring. I see it. Somebody who'd be number 2 on my list is Shawn Michaels versus the Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream is an absolutely spriteful and exciting up-and-comer. I think if Shawn Michaels and him were to step in the ring, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And the ambiance, the excitement, the gimmicks that Velveteen Dream brings into every single match, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I think number 3 on my list, I don't even know who number 3 would be. I'm not even sure. I mean, just anybody. It's just anybody could fit into that role. I guess you can say Adam Cole versus Shawn Michaels is my number 3. Just absolutely a bunch of dream matches that everybody would love to see. And Shawn Michaels, if he were to return, it's a one-off. It had to be the right one thing. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for what you can do. WWE has a great roster, especially more than ever now. And, I mean, Shawn Michaels having one more match and being fit into that, I mean, it definitely fit WWE's agenda. I mean, they're clamoring for part-time stars, and it'd definitely be something exciting. But it's just a matter of who it is against. Shawn Michaels would be open to one more match. That is a very, very interesting story in and of itself right there. But for now, we're going to have to move on to the next news story. And we move on here to a news story that actually impacts the mid-card of Smackdown in a very negative way if Jeff Hardy is out for too much time. Of course, because Jeff Hardy is the United States champion, Jeff Hardy being injured ahead of Money in the Bank may have a very negative result on SmackDown Live. Current WWE United States Champion Jeff Hardy hasn't been on WWE television in more than 2 weeks and isn't booked for the company's upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view on June 17th. While WWE has yet to confirm the reason for his absence, a new report suggests that the SmackDown Live mainstay might be suffering from his second notable injury in less than a year's time. Details on Jeff Hardy's rumored injury are mostly unavailable at the moment, but PW Torch reported Wednesday that the 40-year-old ring veteran is suffering from a pinched nerve, a condition that has reportedly resulted in numbness in the fingers. This comes over 2 weeks after his televised match on the May 22nd SmackDown Live, where he lost to Daniel Bryan in a qualifying match for the right to face Samoa Joe in a qualifier for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match in less than 2 weeks from now. WrestlingNews.co wrote that Hardy was still available for WWE's live events this weekend and for a dark match following Tuesday's 205 Live taping, where he and Daniel Bryan teamed up against Big Cass and The Miz in a match that was kept short. The publication added that many fans observed that Hardy seemed to be in pain in recent episodes of SmackDown Live. According to WrestlingNews.co, Jeff Hardy's injury appears to be similar to the one suffered by Jason Jordan earlier this year, which ultimately required surgery after he first tried to compete despite the pain and discomfort. Jordan has yet to be cleared to compete, though rumors of his imminent return to Monday Night Raw have been swirling over the past few weeks. Since he returned to the WWE in April 2017 alongside his brother Matt, Jeff Hardy has had difficulty staying healthy. Last September, Hardy suffered a serious shoulder injury that forced him to miss several months of action and multiple pay-per-views, including WrestleMania 34 in April. As documented by Pro Wrestling Sheet, Hardy was specifically sidelined with a torn rotator cuff and labrum and underwent surgery on his injured shoulder on October 3rd. He had also tweaked a leg last month while preparing for a dark match against The Miz, but Sportskeeda wrote that Hardy still competed in the match and didn't appear to be in serious pain or in danger of spending more time on the sidelines. While Jeff Hardy's latest rumored injury doesn't appear to be serious, Sportskeeda noted in a separate report that adult males usually require anywhere between a few weeks to several months to recover from a pinched nerve, depending on how serious the injury is. So hopefully this is not anything too serious and Hardy's just going to be out for a couple of weeks, but for now, this seems to be very impactful to the mid-card of SmackDown Live, not having a United States champion. I mean, this can be something that ends up being very beneficial if you think about it for SmackDown Live's mid-card, because if Jeff Hardy is injured and if it does require surgery and if he is going to be out for the next couple months, that opens the door for a United States Championship tournament, which is a very easy solution to SmackDown Live's issue of having no United States champion, and you can really build this tournament around the new up-and-comer from NXT, Andrade Cien Almas. You have this tournament and you throw guys like Sin Cara in there, Ty Dillinger, You can throw whoever the hell else. Mike Kanellis is on SmackDown Live, or is he? I'm not even sure. Whoever the hell you have on SmackDown Live's mid-card, you can throw in there. Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, other names as well. You can throw Rusev in there, and you can build yourself a pretty decent tournament for the United States Championship. You can build television around this tournament. And at the end of the day, you can have this be a very beneficial thing for Andrade Cien Almas. And you can actually center this tournament, if WWE's smart, center this tournament around WWE television. Have these tournament matches, main event editions of SmackDown Live. Center these shows around the tournament. And this can be something very beneficial if Jeff Hardy is out, which hopefully he's not. Because if not, you can still have this be a very beneficial thing for Andrade Cien Almas by having him win the United States Championship from Jeff Hardy in a feud that I would presumably have last a lot of the summer. And that would culminate at SummerSlam. But even then, what are you to do here? What are you to do here? Because you have Extreme Rules and SummerSlam. So are you going to have Andrade win the title at Extreme Rules and retain it at the SummerSlam pay-per-view? Possibly that's the situation. You can go down there. But I'm not sure. WWE, they have a lot to think about here with Jeff Hardy being injured. I just hope that they take down this a creative way, and the most creative way you can do it, or the easiest way you can do it, is by having a tournament. But the creative in this aspect would be booking that tournament to actually be something worthwhile. The last United States Championship tournament we had, when Dolph Ziggler, I don't even know why, relinquished the title. Of course, it came down, and WWE just made it the most predictable garbage tournament that you can ever see. Instead of throwing some actual names in there and putting on some actually great matches that is going to make your television product better, instead of taking advantage of the fact that you have an injured superstar or that somebody relinquished the title. WWE decided to make it something lackadaisical and just absolute not worthwhile. So hopefully WWE takes advantage of this if Jeff Hardy is injured, but I hope that he is not, because you can still get some very, very good matches from Jeff Hardy, putting guys over like Andrade Cien Almas, having matches against whoever it may be, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe. I mean, there's a lot of things he can do, Shinsuke Nakamura, and just giving that up and having Jeff Hardy go down to injury not only speaks bad news for SmackDown Live's mid-card, but another thing that it does as well is that it makes Jeff Hardy injury prone, and it takes him off of television for a lot of time. And I mean, Jeff Hardy just got back. So it can speak very, very bad if Jeff Hardy is going to be out for a significant amount of time. But that is besides the point, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the next and final news story right here on Behind the Mic. And the next news story on Behind the Mic has to do with The Undertaker. And apparently, there's not much to say here besides the fact that he is returning to the WWE. And he is going to Madison Square Garden for the first time in 8 years for a WWE live event. And this is something very, very interesting, because you're seeing The Undertaker throughout 2018 wrestle actively more and more. And the reports that have been coming out are saying that The Undertaker feels healthier and he feels better than he has over many, many years. And apparently that has to do with the fact that he has gotten hip surgery. And I mean, that has led to a better looking and healthier Undertaker. Now, apparently, from the things that we've been seeing from his past couple matches, Undertaker really hasn't been putting on the biggest workload. A very basic fundamental matchup against Rusev, casket matchup at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Really nothing of much avail there. And of course, that 3-minute matchup against John Cena at WrestleMania 34, which was an easy classified squash match. It's going to be interesting to see what he does in Madison Square Garden. I do not see him taking a loss, and I don't see this being anything that is necessarily, I guess you can say, going to result in a loss for The Undertaker. But this is definitely something interesting because you're seeing The Undertaker wrestle more and more, and it leads to the question, when are we going to see The Undertaker again on actual WWE television? This is just for a live event. And of course, WWE loves to get these part-time stars to sell these bigger live events, this one being in Madison Square Garden. I mean, this even piqued my interest. I went immediately, and after hearing this news, I looked up the ticket prices for the Madison Square Garden event. Actually, getting the tickets near the front row aren't that bad at all. So I actually might be at this thing if things go the right way. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather be at SummerSlam or at Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam. I'm not sure. I just like to be at those live shows better, or those actually televised shows better than actual live events. I've never been to a live event, so maybe it can be an interesting experience. And The Undertaker's going to be there. Ronda Rousey's being advertised for this live event, so it's very interesting. But the interesting thing to note here is who The Undertaker's opponent is going to be. You would presume that he's working against the heel on Monday Night Raw, I guess you could say, or the heel is apparently going to be from Smackdown Live, because it's a Monday Night Raw house show is what I'm hearing, so I'm not sure, but you can easily put him in there against the Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, whoever it may be. I would want to keep some W's on Samoa Joe, so I wouldn't put Samoa Joe in that situation, but a Sami Zayn fits right into the aspect. I mean, it can be a very interesting matchup, and definitely for all these superstars on the WWE roster, it's never a negative thing for them to be able to say, I was in the ring against The Undertaker one time. So I don't know what the situation could be. We can also see The Undertaker versus Elias now, if you think about it. I like to see that match, but it's a very, very interesting situation here. The Undertaker, Madison Square Garden, Monday Night Raw live event in New York. This is going to be part of the SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. Very, very interesting stuff here. I actually might be out to see this, but just giving you guys that notification right there on The Undertaker making his return to in-ring competition, I'm guessing, at the Madison Square Garden house show, WWE live event, part of the SummerSlam Heatwave Tour. For now, we move on to the closing segments of Behind the Mic. For now, ladies and gentlemen, that has been all for Behind the Mic, episode number 66. I sincerely hope all of you enjoyed what you've heard here. Of course, if you have, make sure to support all of the content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Weekly Monday Night Raw and Smackdown live reviews are up on the channel right now. Make sure to go check them out, as well as to go check out of course, how I would book Monday Night Raw going into SummerSlam video, which was uploaded yesterday. And if you have not caught it, how I would book Smackdown Live going into SummerSlam as well, which was uploaded last week. Make sure to go check it out. So much great content. And of course, if you do enjoy what you're hearing here, make sure to support by hitting that subscribe button. Puts a big smile on my face and also helps out the channel, helps us grow each and every single week. So make sure to do that. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy what you're hearing here. Dislike if you don't. I'm absolutely fine with that. And of course, make sure to comment down in the comment section below. Leave some comments in the enlightenment box down below. Tell me everything that you are thinking, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, this has been all for Behind the Mic episode number 66. For now, this has been Joel Perez, and for now, I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I will see you all next time right here on Behind the Mic.